It was supposed to be the plane that changed the world, sleek, efficient, and built to dominate the skies. The McDonnell Douglas DC-10 promised to usher in a new golden age of air travel. Instead, it became a haunting symbol of corporate overconfidence and mechanical failure. Within just a few short years of its debut, the DC-10's name would be splashed across headlines for all the wrong reasons. Unexplained crashes, catastrophic failures, and cover-ups that shocked even the most loyal passengers. What began as a bold answer to Boeing's 747 quickly spiraled into one of aviation's darkest sagas. And the most chilling part, the disaster that doomed it all, started with a single overlooked design choice, one that engineers had warned could bring the entire aircraft down. The late 1960s were the wild frontier of commercial aviation. Airlines were desperate for aircraft that could carry more passengers without the colossal costs of a jumbo jet. Boeing had just unveiled the 747, a technological marvel that turned heads worldwide. But its size came with limitations. Not every airport could handle it, and not every route could fill it. McDonnell Douglas saw an opening, a smaller, leaner, wide-body jet that could bridge the gap. Their answer was the DC-10, a free-engine trijet designed to burn less fuel, carry around 250 passengers, and take off from shorter runways. On paper, it was perfect. Airlines loved the numbers, the flexibility, and especially the price. Orders poured in, but in their rush to beat competitors like Lockheed's L1011 TriStar to market, Douglas made a critical mistake, prioritizing speed and cost over safety margins. It wouldn't take long for that decision to start haunting them. At the heart of the DC-10's downfall was something so ordinary, most people never thought twice about it: a cargo door. While other jets used plug-type doors that opened inward and sealed themselves tight under cabin pressure, Douglas engineers decided to do things differently. Their door opened outward, allowing airlines to squeeze in more cargo, which meant more profits. The problem was physics. That outward opening design relied entirely on mechanical latches and electrical sensors to stay closed under immense pressure. If even one latch failed, the door could blow out with explosive force. Engineers warned management early on, insisting that the system needed a total redesign. But the accountants saw delays, rising costs, and potential order cancellations, so the warnings were buried, the paperwork stamped approved, and the DC-10 rolled off production lines with a flaw that would soon make history. The first real sign of trouble came on a clear June morning in 1972. American Airlines Flight 96 had just lifted off from Detroit when a thunderous bang tore through the rear fuselage. The cargo door had ripped clean off, and the sudden decompression tore the cabin floor apart, severing critical control cables. The plane began to twist uncontrollably, and for a terrifying few moments, it seemed doomed. But through sheer skill and luck, the pilots managed to keep partial control and make an emergency landing in Detroit. It was nothing short of a miracle. The cause was obvious: the same door design engineers had warned about. Investigators urged McDonnell Douglas to redesign the entire mechanism, but instead the company issued a few small service bulletins, minor reinforcements, and new maintenance instructions. It was a temporary patch over a deadly wound, and 2 years later that same wound reopened in the most horrific way imaginable. On March 3, 1974, Turkish Airlines Flight 981 took off from Paris bound for London. Minutes into the flight, the cargo door blew out just as it had on Flight 96. But this time, there was no saving it. The decompression was violent, ripping through the floor, severing all flight control cables, and leaving the pilots completely helpless. The jet plunged into the forest of Ermenonville at nearly 500 miles per hour, killing all 346 people on board. It became the deadliest air disaster in history at that time. The investigation revealed the unthinkable. McDonnell Douglas had known about the flaw for years. The company had even experienced a similar failure in testing, but refused a redesign because it would have delayed deliveries and cost millions. The revelation ignited outrage. Lawsuits piled up, regulators were accused of negligence, and for the first time, passengers around the world began to fear the DC-10 name. But even after the crash, the story wasn't over. Because another tragedy was waiting in the wings. Just 5 years later, disaster struck again. This time on US soil. On May 25, 1979, American Airlines Flight 191 was climbing out of Chicago O'Hare when its left engine tore free from the wing. Hydraulic lines ruptured, flaps retracted unevenly, and within seconds the aircraft rolled upside down before smashing into a nearby trailer park. Every person on board was killed. The cause wasn't the cargo door this time, but another symptom of the same disease. A design so complex that maintenance shortcuts turned fatal. Mechanics had been using forklifts to remove the DC-10's heavy engines faster than Douglas's procedures allowed, cracking key mounts without realizing it. When those fractures gave way, the entire system failed catastrophically. The FAA grounded every DC-10 in the US. The first time in history a certified airliner was pulled from service after entering operation. McDonnell Douglas's reputation was destroyed, and public trust in the aircraft was gone forever. The DC-10 eventually returned to the skies after extensive fixes, redesigned cargo doors, reinforced pylons, and stricter maintenance checks. But the damage to its image was permanent. Airlines quietly phased it out of their fleets, and passengers who once marveled at its luxury now whispered its name with fear. McDonnell Douglas tried to rebuild trust by launching the MD-11, a sleeker, more efficient successor, but the stigma never faded. By the 1990s, competition from Boeing and Airbus crushed the company's last hopes. In 1997, McDonnell Douglas merged into Boeing, a polite way of saying it didn't survive. Ironically, the DC-10's final chapter was one of redemption. Converted into cargo freighters and firefighting tankers, it served decades longer than anyone expected. It proved that even flawed machines can find new purpose. Yet the lesson it left behind still echoes through aviation today. Safety can never be sacrificed for speed or sales. The DC-10 was born from ambition but buried by arrogance. It's a case study in how innovation, when rushed, can backfire catastrophically. Every bolt, latch, and rivet in modern aviation safety standards carries a trace of what the DC-10 taught the world. That lives depend on decisions made behind closed doors. If you've made it this far, you're the kind of viewer who values stories that dig deeper, the kind that expose what really happened beneath the headlines. So before you go, take a second to support this channel. Hit subscribe, tap like, and drop a comment about which aviation mystery you want to see next. Your engagement helps this community grow and allows us to keep uncovering the hidden stories that shape the skies we fly in today.